Hello everyone, ready to explore Vidin? I will be your tour guide today, together with the whole Steps for Schools team. Desi behind the camera as always, and Petka is also here with me.
Hi.
Hello! We are going to take a walk around Vidin and show you the most interesting sites and some of our favorite places as well. If you have any questions during the walk, you can ask, feel free to ask us. So, let's begin. As you probably know, Vidin is a very old town. There has been a settlement here from Roman times to this day. Right now, the Roman called it Bononia. The Roman name of Vidin was Bononia. Then it was called Vidin, and now Vidin. Right now, I am standing at the old city gates, one of the main city gate, which is called Stambol Kapia, because this is where the road to Istanbul started. In ancient times, there was a moat here, and I'm standing over what used to be a bridge, but now the moat is filled and turned into a park. Above me, over the stone, you can see the coat of arms of Vidin. It has the crown for the medieval kingdom of Vidin, fish, grapes, and of course the Babovida castle and the lion in the middle. The coat of arms turned 85 this year. It was first created in 1936. But we are going to leave the old part of Vidin behind us for now, and I want to show you what is now the center of our town. So this is the main square of Vidin, the Brindisi Square. On my left side you can see a monument. This monument was built in 1944, is in memory of the soldiers that died in the wars between 1912 and 1918. There's an inscription on it that says, "The greatness of our homeland lies in the bones of those who lived and died for it with dignity." It's called the Brindisi Monument. On the right side, it is the so-called Court Palace. It was built in the 1980s and housed the Communist Party headquarters for the region. Later, or now actually, it is the court building where the courts of Vidin are. There is also the regional library inside and the Philharmonic Orchestra. There is a concert hall as well. And apparently there's a new cafe inside, which I didn't know about, but thanks to my students, now I know. Here there are usually for the Vidin holiday on the 26th October, when we celebrate the day of the patron saint of Vidin, Saint Demeter, there is a bazaar with goods that were only produced in Bulgaria. Only Bulgarian things can be sold. Also, there are usually skaters, teenagers, riding their skateboards here under the columns. Right now there aren't any, but it's a favorite place for skating as well. On this square there was an ice rink this winter. For the first time in Vidin we had an ice rink, for the greatest pleasure of all kids, and not only the kids, of course. In front of us, it's the municipality building. It has 16 floors. There used to be a cafe on the top with amazing views, but now there isn't. The municipality building was built in the 1970s, and we usually have the Christmas tree in front of it for Christmas. Actually, it's one of the windiest places in Vidin, so if you have your hair done, don't come here. The wind will ruin it. I don't know why it's so windy here. And now we are going into the central part of the town, the central walking area. Here there are administrative buildings, shops, banks. Most of the banks are here in the center. The central walking area of Vidin was renovated. There was a huge renovation. It finished in 2019. They renovated it from Vidin, from the Danube up to you'll see where. It was very, very hard during the renovation. Walking around the center of Vidin was like walking on the moon, but now we're very happy with the results, and it's especially beautiful at night when all the lights are on. And it's also very beautiful in summer because the fountains as well are on. There are 2 or 3 fountains in the central part of Vidin, and when they turn them all on, it's great fun. The center of Vidin is a favorite place for shopping, or just they're usually now it's Sunday and the weather is just it just started being nice. In the morning it was quite foggy. We usually have fog because of the river, but when the cafes are open, there are tables in the streets. People just sit, talk to friends, enjoy the good weather, and of course the shops. So now we are going to meet one of our students, the first of our students. We are going to gather them all on our way around Vidin. We are going to meet Dimitria, who will wait for us at the mall, the Vidin Mall, another favorite place for many things in Vidin. We only have one mall because Vidin is a small town, about 30,000 people population. So we only have one mall. It's not only for shopping, it's also a gathering place. And actually many people come here from Romania and Serbia. You know that we are close to the border with Serbia, close to Romania, and many people from these countries come here for shopping, especially because it turns out that, for example, clothes, shoes, stuff like that, it's very cheap, much cheaper here in Bulgaria than in Serbia or Romania. And we Bulgarians often go to Romania and Serbia just for fun, and to Serbia especially for their great cuisine. They have great food there. Okay, just a little bit until we get to the mall. Another bank here, as you can see. The mall is opposite the Saint Dimitri Church. It's the second biggest in Bulgaria. But first, let's see what Dimi has to say, and then I'll tell you about the Saint Dimitri Church. It was named Saint Dimitri because he's, as I told you, the patron saint of Vidin. His day is on the 26th of October, and we usually have a week of celebrations with bazaars, concerts, different activities for young and old. It's very festive. And here is Dimi waiting for us. She's waiting. Here's the mall. It's quite modern building. Say hello.
Hey. Hello. Mall Vidin is the first of its kind shopping center in the Danube city. The mall has 60 sites, restaurants and entertainment, grocery stores, equipment and clothing. Here, the young generation spends part of their free time.
Okay. Today's Sunday, so you can't really see it, but parking in the center of Vidin is a problem. There are usually many cars here, and if you want to do something in the center, you'll have a hard time finding a parking spot. And this is why, one of the reasons why I like walking. When you walk, you don't have to worry about parking. So, the Saint Dimitri Church. In 1718, actually, Vidin became a border town of the Roman Empire, and the two churches that were within the city walls, the Bulgarian population had no access to them because, being a border town, the Bulgarian population were not allowed to live within the city walls, and the gates were closed at 6 p.m, opened again at 7 in the morning. So for Easter and Christmas celebration, the Bulgarian population had no access to these two churches within the city walls. So they decided to build another church outside the city walls so they could have their big Christmas and Easter celebrations and other ceremonies. The church has been built and rebuilt many times, and I don't see Laura. She's probably waiting for us in front. She's going to tell us more about this church. Usually people have their wedding and christening ceremonies here. There's another church with that possibility, but this one is bigger and most people prefer it. It's a monument of culture of national importance. And let's see. Here is Laura. Laura will tell us more about the church. Come down. Say hi. Hi.
Добрый Vidin temple is the second large in Bulgaria. The temple was built twice. The first time it was built of wood, and the second is what you see today. The builders tried to give rich and lavish image. The Bulgarians under Tudorov and Nachazanov are buried in the churchyard. If you look at the murals inside, you can see the hidden image of Bulgarians' national heroes. An interesting fact is that the clock at the top of the temple has stopped only 3 times so far.
Okay, so we are on our way to the Kanaka Museum, where Veronica is waiting for us. She will tell us more about it. Actually, all the people from Vidin, if you say the museum, this is what they mean, the Kanaka Museum, not any of the other museums, because it's the biggest probably, I don't know. But until we get there, I would like to tell you more about the weather in Vidin. It is March now, and weather in March here is especially unpredictable. In Bulgaria we have this legend that for the Baba Marta celebration on the 1st of March, and actually the day of Women's Day, 8th of March, is celebrated in March. So we say here that March is the Women's Month, and the weather is just as changeable as the moods of a woman. Last week we had snow. This morning it was awfully foggy and chilly, and now it's sunny and nice. You don't know what's going to happen next. In summer it's really hot here, and you have to wait for the evening when it cools down to go out with friends or do whatever you want. In winter it's very cold. We have 4 seasons, so the winter is very cold. In the past we used to have a lot of snow for long periods of time, for example 2 weeks of snow or even more than that. But recently, as you probably have noticed in your own countries, the weather is becoming warmer, and we haven't really had a lot of snow in the last 4 to 5 years. This year we only have it for 2 days, and then it melts and it goes away. We have to cross the street somewhere, maybe at the zebra crossing. Here on this street there are shops. Shopping area. The center of Vidin is shopping area. Most of the shops are here. We have some big supermarkets like Kaufland, Lidl, but they are somewhere in the neighborhoods. They're not in the center. Okay, here is the zebra crossing. Thank God it's Sunday now and there isn't much traffic, but usually there is, and you have hard time crossing the street. Drivers in Bulgaria have learned to stop when they see pedestrians. When I was a child, they didn't do that. You would have to do something strange, or I don't know why. I don't know what you had to do to cross the street, but now they are learning, and usually they stop when you want to cross. Here is the Kanaka Museum. In front of us there is one of the oldest schools in Vidin, and here is the Kanaka Museum, where Veronica is already waiting. It's also a monument of culture of local significance, and she will tell us more about it now.
The Historical Museum is one of the oldest cultural institutes in Vidin, an important center for preservation and promotion of cultural and historical values. The building was built in the second half of the 18th century. Later it was modified. It was probably originally one story. The Turks used the building for police control. In the 1870s the Bulgarian church community settled in. After the liberation it was rebuilt with elements of the Bulgarian revival architecture.
So this has been the museum actually since 1956. Before that, the Turks used it as a police station. It was remodeled many times, so we don't know what the original architecture exactly was. After the liberation, actually before the liberation, the Bulgarian church community used it. And after the liberation, it was actually where the municipality of Vidin was. Nowadays it's a museum, and as I told you, it's the museum in Vidin. It's very interesting. I had the chance to visit it a while ago. Again, of course. And our next stop has nothing to do with sightseeing actually, because now we are going to the Vidin Sports Hall. We have collected some of our team on the way, and we hope everyone is waiting where they should be. So, as I told you, the walking area was reconstructed, finished in 2019. Up to this point, the walking area continues, and there is a plan in place to reconstruct this as well. I think they're going to start this year or next year, I'm not sure exactly, but it's going to be just as nice on the other side as it is on this side of the street. What you see in front of you is a heart filled with plastic bottle caps. It's a campaign here in Bulgaria. People all over the country collect the plastic bottle caps, and then with the money they recycle them, and with the money they buy medical equipment for newborn children. On this side, this building used to be a youth center. I'm not sure exactly what it is now. Here the shopping continues. You can see a restaurant with a playground. And we are on our way to the sports hall. This street, if you continue along it, will lead you to the market of Vidin. We have a market that is open every day. There you can buy fresh fruit and vegetables, you can buy clothes, you can buy shoes, whatever your heart desires. You can find it at the market. It's not like people just in the street selling stuff. It's regulated. There are booths. It's controlled by the Vidin municipality. And at the sports hall, we have one of our gold medalists in Sambo gold medalist, Maria, who will tell us more about it, because many of our students actually do sports, and the ones that do Sambo are very, very successful. They have a lot of medals. We're really proud of them. Before we get to the sports hall, these are shops, and before we get to the sports hall, on this side you can see the Vidin puppet theater. I haven't been there since I was a child, and maybe I'll go one day, go back to childhood. And on the other side is the only cinema in Vidin. It's really nice and modern. It was renovated about maybe 10 years ago. Really nice and modern. It was closed, you know, everything was closed because of the COVID pandemic. Now it's open, luckily. There are also here shops and restaurants full of people when the weather is nice and everything is open. These streets are full of tables and cafes and people. Here it is, the entrance to the cinema. Okay, I told you about the market, but we are not going shopping today. Today we are sightseeing, and here is the sports hall, but I don't see Maria. I don't know where she is. There is a nice... Actually, the sports hall is right next to the park, and in front of it there is this nice square, and there is actually a fountain here. You can't see it now because the water comes it's like the water is coming from the ground. But it's really nice in the summer when it's on. And there is a playground there. It's full of children. No, not full of children, but they're usually children now at this time. And here is Maria.
This is Festival Sports Hall. The hall was built in 1968. It has several halls in which different teams train, which are volleyball, basketball, sambo, judo, wrestling, MMA and table tennis. Many of the teams have represented us at competition outside Bulgaria. The biggest hall hosts matches and concerts and has 670 seats for spectators.
Thank you. You can join the rest of the team behind us. Sometimes the This sports hall hosts, as she said, not only concerts but sometimes theater performances are done here because the theater cannot house as many people, cannot accommodate as many people. So we are on our way now. This, what you see in front of you, is the Rover Park. It's called the Rover, which means the moat. Actually, where this park is now used to be the moat surrounding the cities, the walls of the old Kaletu fortress. As I told you, Vidin became a border town, so it needed a bigger fortress. It needed a bigger fortress. The one that was existed then was not strong enough, and the inner part of the fortress was the Baba Vida, and the outer walls were these walls. They are not, most of the walls were not preserved, but there are 9 gates. Most of them are preserved. 9 gates, 4 on the mainland, 5 on the river. We already saw Stambol Kapia, and we are now approaching Bazar Kapia, and we are going to enter the oldest part of Vidin. As I told you, most of the walls were destroyed. Some parts still exist, but they are not in the center. They are further from the main sites, and we're not going to see them. This is the middle, actually, the middle part of the old Kaletu fortress is the walls with the gates, and the third part, the outer part, was only a moat, but it doesn't exist anymore. So we are now walking along the park lane, which used to be a moat, but now it is a park. You can see the market on the other side. It's closed. It's Sunday, as I told you. That's why there aren't many people along the streets. It's usually much more crowded during the week. And see, here is the Bazar Kapia gate of the Vidin fortress. That's what it says. From the 17th century. It's probably very it's really amazing for someone who doesn't have it in their own town, but for us, going through these gates is just like walking along the streets. It's nothing special. The Kaleto, this is what this area here within the city walls, it's called Kaleto, which means from Turkish it means the fortress. And it's mostly residential. Most of the administrative buildings were moved outside the city walls. So here it's mostly residential area. There are some cafes and small supermarkets, but mostly residential. We are going to see some of the other gates that are along the river on our way. Okay. We are going to take a shortcut now around the neighborhood. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. I don't live here anymore, but Desi does, so she knows all the shortcuts. And it's usually no mistake to follow her. I've never been lost. Well, here is another old building. It's not a museum or anything. I think it's privately owned. But it's got the architecture of 19th century Bulgaria. Unfortunately, if they turn it into a museum, it would be really interesting. Well, this is the part of Vidin that tourists don't often see, but you're with us now. We're going to take you to the shortcuts. So on this side, the building is very typical for communist Bulgaria. The way buildings were built, that residential buildings were built, that's it. This one on the other side is a little bit more modern. And here in front of us, this used to be a sports high school. Now it is a place where children who are taken out of their house for some reason, from dangerous circumstances, they temporarily live here, or families or anyone who is in trouble for some reason can come here for a certain period of time until things can be resolved. It's very quiet in this neighborhood. As you can see, we are trying to take care of the environment. We have different containers for paper, glass, metal and all that. I'm not sure that many people bother to do it, but there are campaigns and I hope we get there eventually. But old habits die slowly and yeah, they need help. This used to be a center. I actually came here as a student many years ago. This was a center where students from different schools could come here and do different activities that they, for example, if they didn't have the equipment at school or anything else, it was like a center for all schools to use. Now it's a center for social support. They have psychologists here if children have problems or they need psychological help. They can be sent here by the school or by their families, and here there are people in place here to try and help them with everything they need. Here is Victor, who is waiting for us with some other people. Hello, Victor.
Hello. This is the Kanaka Museum, massive two-story buildings in the shape of a cross. This name means the cross-shaped barracks. It dates back to 1801. The barrack was used to residence for Janissaries and house of their Aga. After the liberation of Bulgaria from the Ottoman Empire, the building was a barracks from the Bulgarian army.
Okay, it's got 260 square meters of built-up area. It's a cross, but all of the four arms of the cross are equal length. The original design is unknown because, just like the Kanaka Museum, it has been reconstructed many times. Now it's an ethnographical exposition. It's a museum. Actually, it's been a museum since 1965, 1967 when it was reconstructed, and it's got ethnographical exposition. It's a monument of culture of local importance. And actually, it was the most recent reconstruction was in 2013 with Europeans. You can see here examples of local traditions and culture. Here is the Saint Petka church. When Bulgaria was under Ottoman rule, it was not allowed for a church to be taller than a mosque. So our ancestors found a way around this, and they built their churches. Part of the churches were built underground, so when you are in the church, it is as tall as a church should be, but when you look at it from the outside, it looks like a very, very low building. There are two such churches, part of them underground within the old fortress walls. These are the Saint Pantalemon Church and the Saint Petka Church. The Saint Petka Church was dated from the first half of the 17th century. An inscription that was preserved in the beginning of the 20th century dated its construction back to 1636, but according to some authors, there was an earlier inscription underneath. According to the Ottoman border law of the time, the Turkish authorities might confiscate and adjust for defense purposes all buildings of the unbelievers in the fortress in the Calais. Because of its nearness to military objects, the church St. Petka was turned into a storehouse for coal of the military, and it remained in that condition until a couple of years before the liberation in 1878. It's situated opposite the cross-shaped barracks in the Calais, and it's a monument of culture of local importance. As you can see, the State Archive, it's been a State Archive building since the year 200. Inside there is a reading room, an exhibition room and a library. And now we are on our way to the main historical monument of Vidin, that is the Baba Vida castle or fortress. I'm not sure which one is correct. Actually, on the site where the Baba Vida is right now, there used to be an ancient fortress which was called Bunonia, as I told you, the old name of Vidin. The Bulgarian the first reconstruction of the fortress made by the Bulgarians dates back from the 10th century. And in the 13th century it was the center of the Vidin kingdom, where Tsar Ivan Serafinov ruled. The Ottomans later used the fortress for military purposes. We're going to see it. I'm going to tell you more about it when we get nearer. The students are in a hurry to get there. I don't know why that is. Here is another residential area with more modern buildings on this side, newer, and of course the older ones. It's kind of a mix in Vidin. We have very old buildings, we have buildings from communist era, we have modern buildings, we have pretty much everything. And right in front of us you can see, actually you can't see it, but there's the river. We are very close now. There is the legend of Baba Vida. Maybe it's time to tell you about it. The legend has it that there was a Bulgarian ruler who had 3 daughters, Vida, Gamza and Kula. And when he died, they inherited his lands. But Vida was the oldest sister. The 2 younger ones, Gamza and Kula. Actually, there is, for Gamza, she inherited the lands that are in what is nowadays Serbia, and there is a fortress there called Gamzigrad. And Kula, there is a place, a town about 30 kilometers from Vidin that is called Kula, and there is a fortress there, Kastramartis. So Kula and Gamza married very bad men who spent all their fortune, all their money, and left them desolate. Vida, seeing what happened to her sisters, decided not to marry. She built the Baba Vida fortress. Baba Vida means actually Grandma Vida, and the longer name of the fortress in Bulgarian is Babini Vidini Kuli, which means Baba Vida's towers. So she built the fortress to preserve, to protect her subjects, and she was a very good woman. She took really good care of her people, and they loved her very much, and called the fortress after her. And that is the legend, but actually it's an old Roman fortress that was later preserved by the Bulgarians and later by the Ottoman Turks. I think before the Baba Vida, maybe we'll have to go by the synagogue. Did I get a little bit confused? Yes, it's the synagogue before the Baba Vida. This is not a synagogue now, it's just what remains of it. When it was built, it was really beautiful. It was the second biggest synagogue in Bulgaria after the one in Sofia. But unfortunately, in about 1950, when Israel became a separate country, the Jews from Vidin, they moved there, and it was abandoned. There have been many plans to reconstruct it, to make it nice again, but nothing has happened yet. I really do hope, and I think everyone in Vidin hopes to have this building preserved and reconstructed. Even now that it's in ruins, you can see that it was very beautiful and magnificent. And Jasmina is waiting for us here to tell us about the synagogue. There she is. Say hello!
Hello! The synagogue was first mentioned in 1869. Its architecture bears the marks and character of European architecture from Danube River Valley, and its details with elements of Eastern patterns and symbols. The interior impressed with its Colossal impact and with the use of ancient Jewish and classical architecture forms. Today, the building is one of the significant cultural monuments of Vidin. This is the second largest synagogue in Bulgaria, a testament to the wealth and pride of the local community, which has flourished for more than 5 centuries, the synagogue was decorated with a combination of classical architecture forms and ancient Jewish decorative symbols illuminated by stained glass.
Come on, you can join us now. You can join our big group, getting bigger with every site we pass by. And here in the distance, you can see the Baba Vida behind the trees. It's a cultural monument of national importance. And as I started telling you, the fortress has inner walls. It has also outer walls. It used to have 11 towers, but now some of them have been destroyed and not all the towers are preserved. Actually, this is the only castle in Bulgaria that has been preserved in its original state, like as a building and a castle. The rest of the castles in the other towns of Bulgaria are just ruins. Maybe in Turnovo there is just one tower preserved. Ours is like a real castle. You can go inside, you can explore. There is one room that is turned into a prison. You can take nice pictures. There is also in the inner courtyard, sometimes people do exhibitions. It's a really nice setting for this. There is also a gallows where they used to hang people. We usually show it to tourists as well. The views from the towers are amazing. You can see the river, you can see the park. It's a very nice place to take a picture. You just have to be very careful not to fall down, because safety is important. Okay. Around the fortress there is a moat. It has been preserved, and when the level of the river are high, the moat fills with water and it looks really authentic. It looks beautiful. Actually, many films, many historical movies have been filmed here, from actually Bulgarian and also foreign films have been filmed here. And before we get close, on this side, these stone buildings that you can see is what is now the Epigraphic Museum. It used to be a gunpowder store, but now it has been turned into an Epigraphic Museum. Okay. You can go around the fortress actually. See, it is a real castle. Raya is waiting for us at the entrance of the Baba Vida, and she is going to tell us a little bit more about it as well. It actually looks very authentic, I think. Usually, we'll see what it is now, but usually there are people in front of the castle selling souvenirs or art, which you can buy. The inscription says that it was a gunpowder store, and it was preserved. It was preserved in its natural form in 2019 by the municipality of Vidin. Not far away from here, these metal doors that you can see in the distance. This is where the Vidin fair takes place every year. Last year we didn't have one, of course, because of COVID. But usually there is a fair here every year at the end of summer, the end of August, with a lot of shopping and a lot of like a Luna Park, concerts in the evening, street food. It's fun, and it's quite crowded in the evenings. If you don't like crowds, just don't go there. Here are some of the souvenirs, even on Sunday. These are two of the towers that you can see. Also, there is a gun here inside the fortress. You can take pictures with it. There is also this horse. It's not a real horse, it's like made from something. You can put your child on the horse, take pictures, just like in most medieval fortresses. Settings for pictures. I will drink water here. It's like I can't go past this and not drink water. It's a habit from childhood. Whenever you pass by this one, you have to drink. I don't know why. And you can see Raya at the bridge. This was a wooden bridge. It wasn't like this. Because, I mean, what's the point of having a fortress if you have a bridge over the moat made of stone? But then, when they constructed the fortress, they made it into stone because now it's just a museum. We don't have to defend ourselves, fortunately. Here are the souvenirs that I tell you, the art. And here is the ticket center. You can buy postcards, tickets, maps maybe. And here you see some very beautiful wooden stuff made from local craftsmen. They buy local craftsmen.
Как се наричат?
Ами, различни са. Ето, това е слънчев камък, това е авантюрин, това е малахит, това е яспис.
Как да избера кой е подходящ за мен?
Който ви харесва.
Ти же звън си видео?
Да, жена.
Само ти се видиш.
Не беше към Руско.
Според зодиакалния знак може, според...
Here is Raya. She is waiting for us in front of the fortress. Actually, the door is up there at the end of the bridge. Hello, Raya.
Hello. This is the place where the art festival, the Bridge Fest, takes place every year since 2010. And here the young people set up their tents. There are workshops in photography, calligraphy, art, drama, music, dance, logo and brand creation. It's a unique experience in this unique place.
There is also, I forgot to tell you, that there is this like a hall inside the fortress where you can have concerts, even theater performances. It's a natural decor and it's really, really beautiful. And now we are up to the beach, actually. Okay, so this way we will go to what is used as a beach in the summer. And now I think they are doing something else here. I have no idea what, but let's find out together. I think it's a competition or something. Yeah, it's like an off-road competition with... Well, that's something I haven't seen before. Let's try and... So, Raya will tell you, in the distance probably you can see the Danube Bridge, and Raya will tell us a little bit more about it.
And this is the famous bridge, Danube Bridge 2, which is international and connects us with Romania. Many international drivers pass over it. At night it's very beautiful because of its lights. The bridge is called New Europe Bridge and it was opened on the 13th of June 2013.
The bridge is 1,971 meters long. It's got a 4-lane road, it's got a railroad, and it's got a cycle lane. Actually, border control is on the Romanian side only. And now it's a little bit foggy, but usually you can see all the trucks on the bridge. It's a lot of traffic. You can't see it from here. Maybe we're going to be able to see the gallows only. But on this side of the fortress is the hall I was telling you about. There are wooden benches and a nice wooden stage. Sometimes they do like a medieval festival. They recreate different periods of medieval Bulgarian history. Everyone is dressed like knights and it's really interesting. As I told you, this area is used as a beach in the summer. Down there is another sandy area, but now I think the level of the river is too high. We'll probably try and see it. I don't know what's the situation. As you can see,
It's a favorite place for many people in Vidin, just for walking, hanging out, especially when the weather is nice. So everyone likes to come here. There are the gallows, not really gallows, but it's the place where they used to hang people there on this piece of wood. There's the dog. There's this dog that loves Raya, and Raya loves it too. Every time we go around as a group, the dog is always there. This way we can come down, and I'm going to show you. I don't know what's going on. I think Laura is afraid of dogs. Yeah, we can save her. Come here. You're safe now. Just stay away from Raya. The dog is where Raya is. Okay, so this on this side is Topkapiya. Topkapiya was one of the city gates. It was used to provide the fortress with food, military supplies, and all that. Now it's not used for that. It's maybe we can try and go down. This is how you reach the city beach. Let's see. Kids are having fun. No, I think the level is too high and we can't really get there, but when it isn't, it's a nice sandy area. This was this Vidin walls. Piano, piano. Mira, di qua.
Ti piace Pino? Dove stai? Scendi, vieni con noi.
Хайде, Пина, идваш ли? Дали има и такива в Италия?
Ecco qua, quando il fiume scende l'acqua.
Here on these, like, I don't know what to say, call it, these concrete blocks, you can see pictures of some Bulgarian revolutionaries who fought for our freedom. It was Zilevsky who says that it's important what you do and not what to say. And this is Hristo Botev. He was a very famous Bulgarian revolutionary and poet. And it's a quote from one of his poems saying that whoever falls fighting for freedom never dies. And here it's again the coat of arms of Vidin, and it says Vidin, forever the guardian of the Danube. On this side, it's usually if you come in May, you see roses, lots of roses, very beautiful. And here's another fountain. Children's playgrounds. This park is a favorite, as I told you, it's really favorite place for everyone, just for walking. As you can see in the distance, there are kids skating. It's really good for riding a bike, walking with friends. And we are on our way now to a monument, but I'm going to tell you about it when we see it, because now it's hidden behind the trees. These ramps they're not very old actually. They didn't exist like 10 years ago, but now they do, and there's usually kids, and I'm always afraid that a ball or a bike will hit me when I pass by, so you have to be very careful. They're just playing and having fun. This part, actually the Danube Park, this is part of the Danube Park of Vidin. And I've been to other towns in Bulgaria, and I'm not being patriotic, but actually ours is the most beautiful, because in other towns there usually isn't a park along the river. It's just a nice park, but no river. So I think ours is really the most beautiful. Especially if you come in summer and spring, because now it's just no flowers. It's a little bit gloomy. There are people having fun. I think they're showing off a little bit. Being boys. Yeah, they're definitely showing off because behind us there is a group of beautiful girls and these boys are just showing off. And here, as you can probably see now, is the so-called Monument of Freedom. It's a very, very tall one. It's 24 meters tall. It's made of granite and it was built in 1965. This monument was built in memory of communist partisans who fought against fascism. Actually, it's called Monument of Freedom. We associate it sometimes with the Statue of Freedom, but it's nothing like that. It's just our monument. And on the other side of the monument there is another place with skating ramps and there is street fitness, as you can see. The park of Vidin was also reconstructed recently. New benches were placed because the old ones were mostly broken. Yeah, the monument actually is a woman with her hands pointing upwards, and behind it there's this spot where the views are really beautiful, the views of the river. It's another walking alley. We are on our way now to the Bibliopost and Telegrafka Pier, another one of the old city gates, where Gary is waiting for us. She's going to tell us more about the old Turkish post office. Actually, Telegrafka Pier was named Telegrafka Pier because it was close to the post office. As you can see, there's the river. You can't really see it from here because of the walls, but later we are going to walk along a little bit. I'm sure that if we had been here this morning, there would have been no people at all, because it was so foggy, you could hardly see across the street. And now, it's usually flowers here in the middle, but now it's too early for them. As I told you, there was snow last week, it was really cold, and then at the end of February it was much warmer than last week. So the weather in March is really, really unpredictable. This is one good thing about having a virtual meeting, because we don't have to worry about the weather that much. But that's why we're making this video, actually, just to make sure that we can show you Vidin when the weather is nice, because if it's raining, it won't be possible. And as far as we read, as far as we saw in the weather forecasts, on Monday we'll have rain. So that's why we're making this for you. Here at the end of this lane is a guy selling sunflower seeds and different nuts. He's like a monument here in Vidin, because ever since I remember he's always been here selling these things. And there's another playground, many playgrounds here in the park for children. On this side there is a restaurant, it's called the Riviera. It's like a typical Bulgarian tavern with traditional Bulgarian food and traditional atmosphere. They also have live music inside in the evenings. The food is really good here. And here is the playground, where there are old things and new things, and behind the playground you can see remnants of the Telegrafka Pier. It's, as I told you, one of the old city gates, but it used to be a disco, actually. Very, very unique. Hello, Gary.
Hello.
Come here. It used to be a disco when I was a teenager. Really unique to have a disco in the stone inside a fortress or a city gate. So now off to the Bibliopost building, There is a nice wooden stage in front of it, and sometimes there are different festivals and performances here by students or different clubs. So here is Gary. Say hello.
Hello! The Turkish Palace is building culture monument in the central part of the park, the Danube River. Nowadays it is department of the library. It is divided into several premises. One of them is intended for the meeting of generation and furnished in the traditional style. Another room is furnished for the children with games and books. More unusual in the youth room with vintage furniture and modern equipment for meeting, dancing, karaoke, training and work in the small groups.
We are going to come inside this bibliopost. It's like library slash post office. We're going to be here on Wednesday, so then you'll learn more about it. So we are going now to a very special place actually in Vidin, where a church and a mosque are neighbors, and it's not very far from the synagogues, so actually it's the three religions in one place. This red building is part of the metropolitan complex. Svetli is going to tell us a little bit more about it, and on this side you can see the Osmanthus Mosque. Osmanthus was a ruler of these lands actually at the end of the 18th and the beginning of the 19th century. He was independent from the Sultan, and he built this mosque, which is the only mosque in the world that doesn't have the crescent moon on top of it, the symbol of the mosques. It's got a spade that is also seen as an inverted heart. I will try to show you, and this smaller building in the mosque yard is actually the Osmanthus library, which he dedicated to his mother, and which had around 2,000 books in French, also in Turkish, and these books were actually given to the National Library of Bulgaria to be preserved. The mosque is usually open. You can go inside, have it, take a look. There are different stories about the inverted heart. One story is that he dedicated it to a woman, a Bulgarian woman that he was in love with, but it was impossible. Another story is that it was actually because he is a sign of his independence from the Sultan, and probably the most probable one is that this is not an inverted heart. It's a spade, and it was the symbol of his military unit. Anelia and Svetli are here. Let's wait for
Osmanthus who lived in 1807, was independent of the Turkish Sultan. He was the ruler to visit 1 century in Vidin. The library next to the decided to Osmanthus' mother, and inscriptions is bite into its enters, which reads, I Osmanthus I am building this library, which contains various produced books from the which of the Victor can excite, know and abuse my late mother.
The mausoleum of Antim I is the tomb in Vidin, the first exarch of independent Bulgarian exarch. It is located yard of the Vidin diocese. This is a cultural monument from December 31, 1975. After the death of exarch Antim I, he was buried in the church St. Nicholas. The church St. Nicholas was built in 1926 according to the project of architect Nikola, who is also the construction's manager. The church was built on the site of the old bell tower and next to the church St. Pantalemon. It is of type of three-nave cross domed church.
the entrance of the Saint Nikolai Miriklitsky church. Nikolai, the wonder worker, is the way it translates. And here we're going to show you a little bit of the same Pantalemon church, probably the oldest church in Bulgaria. There are some documents saying that in 1641 the roof of the church was repaired, which means that it existed before. Now we are on our way to the old city bath. The group is already waiting for us. The old town bath actually is very close to the Danube Park. And now it is a hotel, and it's got a nice swimming pool inside, but we can't see it because I have this. So here, now it's the Ana Cristina Hotel, but it used to be the old town bath. It was built in the 30s of the last century, 1930s, and until the 1990s it was the city bath, and then it became a hotel. Now it is also, the building is a cultural monument because it's a hotel, and as you probably know, we have specialities in our school that do with tourism and hotels. Some of our students have their vocational practice here. Eva is one of them. She was supposed to be here with us today, but as I told you, we have very successful sambo wrestlers, and she's having a competition today. We wish her luck. It's a very, very unique building. I've seen pictures because I live in Vidin and I don't know what's inside hotels here, but it's quite unique, turning a city bath into a hotel. It's one of the nicer ones in Vidin. And now, right behind the Ana Cristina, we are going to show you a favorite place of everyone in Vidin, the Rover Park. I suggest that we go on the walk there. Just cross the park and walk along the river. This place, in the day, you can imagine what happens here. People go for walks, ride bikes, have fun. It's a really favorite place of everybody. But in the summer, Tessie is showing you the foxes and the deer. She's showing you the foxes and the deer. These existed forever, ever since I remember. And they are favorite place for children to take pictures. This with the throne and the little seats is newer. Някой иска ли? Иди го тук. Няма да му ставам. Да спокойно на галерия. Да. So I started telling you about this place in summer. In summer, here in this part of the park, there are several restaurants. Some of them, as you can see, this is one of them. Some of them are, actually most of them, are open only in the summer, when the weather is nice. And this place is full of light, full of people, kids playing, there's street food on the other side. And just until late in the evening, it's full of life, and it's really, really special and very beautiful. Music, people having fun. Actually, because I told you summers in Vidin are very hot, we have to wait until the evening when it's cooler to go out and have fun. Here, from here you can also see the bridge, and then
you can see Romania.
You can see Romania on the other side. Hello, that's an island in the middle, and behind the island it's Romania, and this is the Romanian town Calafat. And here there are some, actually these are not ships.
And our river is on east.
Yeah, one thing that I want to mention that is very, very special. Everyone knows that the Danube is the northern border of Bulgaria. So in most places in Bulgaria, when you are on the bank of the river Danube, and you look towards Romania, you are looking north. Here, it is not the case. It's like actually, when we stand here on the bank of the river, we're actually looking like east, even southeast, because the river takes a turn here. And even some Bulgarian people don't know that. And people who are well oriented come here and say, why is the river on the wrong side? It's not supposed to be here. But here, the Danube is actually not north. Here people come and meet July morning. It's a favorite place to do that because it's on the river and it's very beautiful. Actually, many tourists come to Vidin on boats, on river boats from Germany, from Austria, from up the river. They sometimes stop here, explore the town and the region, and then they continue on their journeys. There is also a very nice restaurant on one of the boats. It's called Dunava, which Dunav is the Bulgarian name for the Danube. We are now on our way to the gallery, actually. The gallery, and behind it there is the Vidin cultural club called Sviat. There are cultural clubs in almost every bigger town and in most villages in Bulgaria, where traditions and customs are preserved. And on the other side, there is, behind the students, there is a restaurant Bononia, where most of the graduation parties are held because it's one of the biggest. And there's a lot of space for many people. And the playground. Here are the booths for the street food I was telling you about for the summer. And behind the booths, on this higher ground, you can see the Nikola gallery. And in front of it, there is this stage. And here there are sometimes performances by different clubs. Here in this place, we celebrate the day of Saint Kirill and Methodi, the 24th of March. Saint Kirill and Methodius are the creators of our alphabet, and it's a big celebration with all schools present. There are dances, different performances. Let's see, maybe this way. There are some people that passed by us and they saw the camera and they thought we were tourists. So here's that. I'm a tourist now, not a tour guide. So here is the National Gallery, and we'll just have to wait for Vivi, who will tell us more about it. Here's the stage. The unfortunate thing is that there are no seats, so you have to stand to watch the performances, but it's still very beautiful.
Hello. The gallery is housed in a beautiful building of the former military club. It was built by the architect Toma Todor Verhota. It has been declared a cultural monument of Bulgaria. It consists of 3 departments: painting, graphics and sculpture. It was named after the artist Nikola Petrov. It was born in Vidin and painted his hometown. The gallery staff decided to choose him as a patron. Inside the gallery there are many paintings by different painters from all over the world. Actually, there is one of my favorites from a Bulgarian artist, Mosque, and also from Zupaskin, who was of Jewish origin. He was born in Vidin. He was from a rich merchant family, but actually he went to France and America later, and he's quite a famous artist. And here we are on our way to the... here you can see a cafe that's open and people standing on the streets. It's a familiar sight for when the weather is nice, and right behind it is the theater. And again, Vivi will tell us a little bit more about Vidin Drama Theater. Our drama theater is named after the actor Vladimir Trendafilov. In 1879, the Vida Charitable Theatre Society was founded. The first performances were in the so-called National Cafe in the Bularska neighborhood. Today, the Vidin Drama Theatre has a wide repertoire and performs in 2 seasons in a year.
on its own stage and on the summer stage in the Bauwila Castle.
So the theatre is also a monument of culture, and sometimes full plays are even performed inside in different ceremonies, not just theatrical plays. Here is our newest acquisition, but oh, they planted some flowers. That's why they've done this around it. This says Vidin, and it was done last year by the Lions Club, I think. It wasn't done by the municipality, so this is where we decided to have the end of our tour around Vidin and take a good picture and say goodbye. And actually, if you have enjoyed this walk as much as we have, we hope to see you here one day, and we promise to show you around.